Last week, we built a wooden step-up here at the bike park. It's very mellow, but very fun, and it adds a lot of flavor to our new jump trail. You gain a lot of speed coming out of the step up, and we're going to build something that's going to take care of that. In this little open section, we'll build a feature called a whale tail, and I'm not talking about a tiny little dirt one. No. If we're going to build one of these, it's going to be a big one. Now, fans of the channel may remember the original whale tail. It was made of dirt and didn't really have a purpose. I'll fix that mistake today, and hopefully we can get a really fun wood feature in place by the end of the video. If you didn't know, wood is an expensive material, meaning we can't just go out and buy whatever we want. To cut down on the cost, we're taking advantage of fallen trees in the area. We can cut these up into multiple pieces and use them as posts to support the platform. Like last time, we've discovered that measuring and planning actually works, so we're going to do that again this time. You can see the lip, that flag over there needs to move this way, and that flag needs to move this way, because right now it's going this way. And if we go straight, the lip is different than the whale tail, so we got to move the flags on the whale tail a little bit. These two flags, each of them need to move over like 6 inches. The posts are a very key part in the feature, so the goal of the first day was to cut and carry all of our wood to the work site. We tried as hard as we could to pick the same size and species of wood, but fallen trees are limited, especially because we already used a bunch of them. Since we couldn't and didn't want to cut any live trees, this was the closest we got. Now, we can start digging post holes. In all honesty, this is the most boring, repetitive, and hardest part of building a wood feature, but it's by far the most significant in having a solid wooden structure. If there weren't deep post holes, the feature would wobble around and be sketchy to say the least. Guys, this right here, this mess of roots is why you don't generally like digging holes in a big forest, because all these trees around here, it's just really hard to dig and you have to cut out all this stuff, and then you're hitting new stuff and we're like halfway done, so it's really hard. Picking this specific location over some others we had in mind was a great choice, but digging here is a disaster. There are multiple big trees with underlying root systems straight through our holes, and we have to cut them all out by hand. The dirt here could be better too, but we pushed through it and continued digging the holes. Look at this. It's all rocks, and we gotta dig all of this out. Okay, so the holes were a struggle, but we eventually got it. Now we can start securing the posts in place, and we're using clay just like we did on the step up. That turned out very stable, and we want this to follow in its footsteps. Just as predicted, the clay did amazing in holding the supports together, and now we gotta plan out the lip. Since the posts for the lip are 4 feet tall, I want to have a steady curve up to the top at a 50-degree angle so you can get some nice height and distance too. The planned radius is 10 feet, which I think will match nicely. For the slats, we'll go with 2x6s that are 3 feet wide. This whole lip should throw you right into the platform, and hopefully we can match up the radius correctly. Let's get to building it. The first step in our wood lip is to measure and then cut our transition. This is the curve of the lip, and the smoother it is, the better it feels going up the jump. The last thing we want in this lip is for it to be kicky, so we're actually going with greater than a 10-foot radius. It's actually around 14 feet. Now that it's marked out, we can cut the transition. Guys, this is a super cool transition. The radius is super large too. It's like 14 feet or something. It looks really nice. Now that one side's cut, we want to make sure the other side follows the exact same curve. So we're going to mark it with a pencil and then go over it in Sharpie so we have a nice clear line. Now that we have the two sides of our curve, we can start actually assembling this lip down at the trail. We already secured the posts that are holding up the main part of the lip into the ground, so all that's left to do is set the transition, make sure it's level, and then throw some planks on it. To plank out the lip, we're using 2x6s that are 3 feet long, just like I said in the diagram earlier on. To space these evenly, we're going to use a 1x6 that's going to be used for the decking of the whale tail. This should create a stable lip that feels smooth, consistent, and just looks good. All of the measuring and time we put into planning worked out, but we can't really test this lip out now, so I think it's time to frame up the whale tail itself. Since our whale tail has a fast entrance, the platform will be a step up to a small step down slightly lower than the start. The first step is to position the outer beams on the first and third sections, of course after making sure it's level. You may question why we put the third section supports on before the second. The beams need to rest on the inside of the posts because our planks wouldn't be wide enough otherwise. That's partially by design. The middle section is supposed to be flat too, so it helps in making measuring way easier. There you go. Guys, we don't have the planks yet, but we're just going to make sure this whole structure is level by using a couple of extras from the old project, and we can just lay these out all the way down to make sure that we have a level surface for the entire thing. Just like on the step up, we're using 1x6s over 2x6s because they're a lot cheaper and also grippier. However, this basic frame won't be enough. We're going to have to add some bracing in the middle and then obviously cross and side bracing. The first step in here is to mount the boards across to divide up the sections of the whale tail. This will give us an easy mounting point for the beams that are going to be parallel to the direction of travel, so we don't have to worry about messing up on measurements, and it will just be way more stable. So this is -1 inch, say -1 inch, so here. Let's put this to 1 inches right at the start, so hold that there. One thing I did regret on the step-up build before this was using 2 boards across at the crest of the landing instead of 3. There is a little flex in the middle, but nothing much. If we can use 3 supports down the middle in all 3 sections, this should be solid. We can't line them up exactly because screwing them in wouldn't be possible, so we're putting the boards slightly to the side. So pretty much what we have here is the Whaletail frame itself. And just like last time, we're gonna use those 1x6 boards because they're a lot cheaper. So we have multiple braces going across. So for example, there's a board right here. And if you press on this, it's not gonna move in between these spots. But if you press on one of the boards that doesn't have bracing in the middle, it's probably gonna snap, and that wouldn't be good if you land on this thing. Now that the structure you ride on is fully complete, I wanna add something which I'll talk about in a minute. A few of the beams might need to be adjusted and enforced later, but it's definitely good enough for now. If I try putting a plank on for reference, the beams are all within a few millimeters of each other, so that's nice to hear. We're also almost 11 minutes in, and we've only gotten this far, so I guess you guys get a longer video this week. Now, let me explain this weird structure. So what I just did there is I basically made a little bit of a case guard so that riders with smaller risk tolerances can hit this thing. So as you can see, you have the lip, and then you actually have the Whaletail frame right now. So I just added this little case guard so that it's a little bit more of a confidence booster when you hit this thing, because the last thing you want to do, obviously, on a big and tall feature like this is case it and land in the gap. That's not going to be good. Now, the final part of the wood feature itself is to throw some planks on, so let's knock that out real quick. To space the planks evenly, we're using an upright 2x6, and this is the exact same spacing we used on the step up, so it'll be perfect. This Whaletail ended up being so much more sturdy and strong than I anticipated, and it just looks amazing too. I mean, just look at it. As I'm sure you guys can tell, this Whaletail is massive. Between the mellow wooden lip and 26-foot long deck, our Whaletail exceeded expectations. After over a week of work and a good amount of time spent on a cool landing, we were ready to finally hit this thing. So this feature's finally ready to hit. I don't think I actually told you guys what I did after I filmed it, but I basically made this little roll up between the lip and the actual Whaletail because I want people that aren't just advanced riders to be able to hit this. The drop at the end is super progressive, so I hope that riders of more ability levels will be able to hit it now, and it should be super fun. So let's try it out. Okay, this time I'm just gonna roll up onto it, maybe do the drop. We'll see. We put over a week into this. That was cool. Yes! That is so fun. Oh my goodness. We built it perfectly too. I can't emphasize how insane this feature feels. The lip kicks you right onto the Whaletail, and the drop off is smoother than butter. The landing angle is perfect, and it all just works. We need to get some laps in on this thing and have a long session to celebrate our work. You can even scrubber race it, creating a feature that you can hit in multiple ways while still being so much fun. Of course, the true way to hit this is just to boost it. can also hear just how satisfying and addictive this feature is. Just listen to it to experience our fun. Well, the whale tail ended up being a lot more satisfying and fun than we anticipated, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. If you want more backyard wooden features, comment that down below. For now, please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week. This is so sick! Oh my goodness! This turned out amazing!